How's it going, guys? This video is going to be about the engine specs, at least as much as I can remember about it. I started putting this thing together probably sometime around in July of last year. So originally I had a 454 Gen 4 big block Chevy block out of a boat. It was an old Chris Craft boat. Unfortunately, it was a 2-bolt main, had those garbage peanut port heads on it. So I got rid of the heads, got a set of 781 heads, and then I started doing some research into the block, realized there was a lot of rust damage, obviously being a boat motor. So I called up my local machine shop, talked to him about it, and got a price to do between the line honing and boring, decking the block, magnafluxing, washing, etc. You name it. Just pretty much the whole basic line of getting things done to have the block basically ready for an assembly. It was well over the price of just buying an aftermarket block. So I went on JEG's website, started looking around, and I found a GM Performance Gen 5, Gen 6 base big block Chevy block. 4-bolt main. Came with the 4250 bore, so I had it bored out 4310. SRP forged aluminum pistons. With those heads comes to 13.2 to 1 compression. I have Eagle forged rods, H-beam. Got the Eagle forged crank, 4-inch stroke, of course. It's all studded on the bottom. Went with AFR heads, the aluminum Magnums 325. What else? The cam. Everybody's always so obsessed with cams. So originally when I started building this motor, I had picked the cam based off of my old assembly, what I was going to go with on the old motor. So on this one, I'm choosing to run a nitrous plate, 250 shot by NX, Nitrous Express. So this cam probably won't work with that, but for now I'm going to run it just to get it going and see what I can do with it and upgrade the cam later on. Nevertheless, let's see if I can get the specs here. I got them somewhere. They are... unprepared. Man. So from what I can remember, the specs are 765 on the intake, 734 on the exhaust, 108 lobe separation angle, which is pretty tight for nitrous, like I said, so we're going to have to skip the nitrous on that cam. The duration I truly don't remember. I will pull up the specs later on and make another video on that, but it is by Howard's Cams, which I've had pretty good luck with them. I like them. They're a pretty small company in the grand scheme of things compared to, companies like obviously Comp and things like that, who are more corporate these days. As far as the valve train, I went with Scorpions. Now, I live in Florida. Scorpion is actually based out of Florida. They're located in Lake City, Florida. So they're not too far from me. I kind of thought it was cool to keep it local, I really honestly wanted to go with some Jessel shaft mount rockers, but those are about $800 more than I could afford at the time. So that was out of the question. But nevertheless, I did run a Howard's stud girdle on top of those, so those are pretty good to go. As far as the rollers, I didn't want to cheap out on those, so I went with Iskandarian, or Iski for short. I went with the Red Zone Easy Roll. Now these, believe it or not, are needle free, as you can see on the bottom there. They are brass bushed. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings about brass bushed lifters. Some people like them, some people hate them. Some people don't like the needle bearings because they claim that if they come apart, they'll go in your motor and, you know, tear it up. Other people's don't, you know, they don't like the brass bushings because you'll get into the issue of wear and not knowing that there's wear because it makes no noise. So, I mean, really, it's to each his own. I honestly went with them because of all the reviews I've been reading up on and just people with firsthand experience. I was pretty impressed with how they manufactured them. So I went with those. I didn't want to have a cheap roller, to say the least. As far as ignition goes, ignition, as you can tell right back there, that is obviously an MSD. And I decided to go with their whole kit. That's the Sniper EFI, by the way. Trying to think. 4500 series, obviously, Dominator. 1475 CFM, I believe it is, or 1440 CFM, something like that. Comes with the touchscreen, digital touchscreen pad, which is pretty cool. You can do all the timing and set idle and nitrous advance and stuff like that. So that's a pretty cool little feature on there. And then with the kit came the box, ignition box. And it's pretty much plug and play for the most part. There's still some wiring that needs to be spliced and things done like that, which, by the way, not very good at, so I will be getting help from some friends on that one. To go with that, I also got, let's see if I can pull it out here. Went with their MSD, went with their EFI coil. Designed to run with, obviously, the Sniper right there. Designed to run with, you know, pretty much the whole system set up as is. So I wanted to go with everything matching for the most part when it came to the ignition system. And believe it or not, a lot of this stuff wasn't all that expensive. I was kind of worried about it being pretty expensive when it came down to it, but I shopped around. I found that Summit was my best friend. I had a couple bad experiences with jegs. I don't hate them or nothing, but they just weren't as helpful, so to speak. Parts, waiting, things like that. It was kind of a nightmare dealing with. So that's that. Trying to think of what else I'm missing here to tell you guys. Like I said, I'm sure there's a few things I'll forget and remember later on. I'm running a vacuum pump on the front. And that is not a vacuum pump for a brake booster. That is a vacuum pump for crankcase evacuation. And there's claims supposedly you get 20 to 40 to possibly 50 horsepower just running these vacuum pumps on the front. Whether it's true or not, I really don't know. But I have talked to some guys who claim it works and they're running them on their cars. So when I put the rings on, I did file them down, the top rings to 25 thousandths and the bottom to 30. So a little bit of a gap there. So if there's any blow by while I'm not running nitrous, that vacuum pump will definitely take care of it. On the front, I got a pretty cool mandrel pulley system by Aerospace Components. Fluid damper, SFI certified. Obviously the Moroso water pump. Went with the Mylodon solid cover. Or as I guess it would be what? Not stamped, but milled maybe. I did that because I'm running a cam button and I was worried about too much flex. You know, you set the end play 5 to 10 thousandths. Too much flex on that stamped valve cover is obviously not good. Or not valve cover, I'm sorry, timing chain cover. I went with the Wind, or Wind, however you guys say it. Track Warrior. Not a bad little intake, especially for the price. Believe it or not, that was actually a really good deal. Less than 300 bucks. As I mentioned before, AFR Magnum 325. Had the machine work to this block all done locally. Went with a 6-quart, not a 7, but a 6-quart Moroso oil pan. And then the Precious. pretty badass. I'm excited to see it run. So as I do things, you guys can kind of follow along, and I'll be sure to post some more videos. I think the next thing I'm going to do is going to be getting all the plumbing done to the vacuum pump up to the valve covers here. And then I got to get the plumbing done for the fuel system. And then I got a set of Doug's headers, ceramic headers, that I got to get finished welded up. I kind of put them in place just to do a little fitting, but Doug's pretty good, not too bad. So I'll go ahead and get those test fitted on there, and I think at that point it might be ready to go once I get these wires all plugged up, get all these measured out right length, and hopefully we can get that on video here pretty soon. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll post another one here soon.